Hi, everyone. If at the start of 2020, someone had told me they thought we were going to have remote graduations for the next 2 years because of a worldwide pandemic, I would have accused them of indulging in apocalyptic science fiction. And yet here we are. I'm relieved to say that in contrast to last year, we now see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know how difficult it is not to experience this event as a live ceremony. Commencement has always been one of my favorite events because it is, first and foremost, a joy-filled celebration. The students are happy, they're graduating. The faculty are happy, they don't have to teach during the summer. The parents are happy, they've paid their last tuition check. And the grandparents are happy because, well, they're grandparents and that's their job. We all come together at graduation to celebrate the graduates and show our pride in their achievements. My favorite part of graduation has always been the moment when I hand each student their diploma and shake their hand. It is a defining moment, heavy with meaning, when a student becomes a Stanford graduate. This year, as last year, we're sharing those moments a little bit differently. On the bright side, keep in mind that it's not uncommon around here for the temperature to be 100 degrees at graduation. So picture sitting through that in a heavy robe while listening to an endless succession of speakers drone on about making the most of your Stanford education. Arguably, you and your family caught a break. Now, at this point, I usually try to say something inspirational about the wonderful things Stanford graduates have done in the public and private sectors, in the sciences, the arts, entrepreneurship, and philanthropy. Due to the sobering events of the last year, I've decided to leave this class with something different to think about. What's the most important capacity you've taken from your Stanford education? Well, I would say that it's the capacity to reason critically and objectively from evidence to conclusions. Now, the world is facing daunting challenges, and make no mistake about it, the only way we will overcome them is if people like you, who have had the benefits of a Stanford education, actually deploy that capacity when it matters. Many events of the last year have reminded us that there is a world of difference between having the capacity to reason critically and using that capacity. This actually comes as no surprise to those of us who study behavioral economics, which concerns the psychology of economic behavior and the cognitive biases that impact our decisions. We know from research that people engage in what behavioral economists and psychologists call motivated reasoning. In other words, we tend to interpret evidence to support our preferred beliefs. We seek out like-minded people and interact in echo chambers, where we hear the same information over and over again, yet we act as if each new hearing is corroboration due to a phenomenon that's known as correlation neglect. We pay attention to media outlets that tell us the news that we want to hear, yet we act as if the information we receive is representative due to a phenomenon known as selection neglect. Now, you may be thinking, oh, I know what Professor Bernheim is talking about. He's referring to COVID denialism or election denialism. So let me be very clear. This is not a matter of political advocacy. According to the available research, cognitive bias is not a conservative phenomenon, and it is not a liberal phenomenon. It's not a lower income phenomenon, nor is it an upper income phenomenon. It transcends age, education, religious affiliation, and all dimensions of demographics. It is a human phenomenon, one that we find very easy to recognize in others and very difficult to recognize in ourselves. So ask yourself, do you evaluate the reliability of an information source just as critically when it confirms your belief as when it contradicts your belief? When listening to someone who is expressing an opposing point of view, do you refrain from formulating your responses while dispassionately considering the evidence they present? Do you account for the fact that your choice of friends and activities and news sources filters what you hear? Do you discount information that simply rephrases something you've already heard? Now, if you've answered yes to each of these questions, well, according to research, you're almost certainly kidding yourself. To overcome a cognitive bias, you have to first acknowledge that it affects you. There is great value in research that illuminates our cognitive biases because it teaches us what to watch for in our own behavior and how to correct for it, so we can come closer to apprehending truth. Now, as Stanford graduates, you have powerful analytic tools at your disposal. My challenge to each of you is to use them as tools for critical reasoning rather than as tools for motivated rationalization. And the first step to meeting that challenge is to learn how to recognize the difference. Now, turning to the business of the day. The success of our department depends on the quality of teaching and advising. And each year we give out awards to recognize the critical teaching contributions made by our faculty and students that are so central to the department's teaching mission. And because we had to prepare this recording in advance, we don't know all of the award winners yet. However, I am able to announce the winners of the Centennial Teaching Assistant Award. This award was initiated in 1989, and it recognizes and rewards outstanding teaching by teaching assistants in the School of Humanities and Sciences, Earth, Energy, and Environmental Sciences, and Engineering. Ewart Thomas, professor of psychology, started the program during his years as the H&S Dean in order to acknowledge and celebrate the important role that TAs play in teaching at Stanford. And this year, the Department of Economics is recognizing 4 graduate students who are recipients of this award, and they are Kevin Behan, Brian Higgins, Mitchell Watt, and Xinyao Kui. Thanks to all of you for your hard work and excellent teaching. This year, the department is conferring 81 bachelor's degrees, 11 master's degrees, 1 PhD minor, and 27 PhDs. I first want to address the PhD candidates. In our academic dress, PhDs are distinguished by the colorful capes we wear. This is my cape. These are actually called hoods, and they're believed to have their origins in the functional hoods that were worn by our intellectual ancestors, the monks, who wore them to keep warm in the unheated monasteries of medieval Europe. We continue the standard ritual of putting on the hoods as part of the conferral process. And this, by the way, is the actual origin of the phrase "in the hood." Well, with the receipt of your diploma, you've finished your career as a graduate student and finally have earned your PhD. And remember, PhD stands for Doctor of Philosophy. So as you go through life, whenever you encounter a really sick philosophy, now it's up to you to cure it. Now I'd like to address the recipients of our BA degrees. I'm happy to report that 7 of our students are graduating with distinction. Distinction is awarded to approximately 15% of the graduating class as a recognition of high scholastic achievement in all subjects. Also, 12 of our students were in the Department of Economic Honors Program and accordingly are receiving a BA with department honors. Honor students work with a faculty advisor to write and then present an honors thesis. The quality of these theses is just remarkable. I'm going to take a few moments to recognize some of the honors thesis writers who have earned some special awards. First, we have our own department prize for outstanding honors thesis. And this is called the Anna Laura Myers Thesis Prize. Now, Anna Laura Myers was one of our own undergraduates. She received her Stanford Economics BA in 1914, and she stayed in close touch with us for the following 68 years until her death in 1982, and she endowed a generous prize fund. Among the 11 honors theses produced by our students this year, many were serious contenders for the Myers Prize, making the choice of the award recipient very difficult. Both students and their advisors should be proud of their ambitious, thoughtful, and careful work. This year, the Anna Laura Myers Outstanding Thesis Award goes to Armelle Grandin, who was advised by Professor Pete Klenow for her thesis titled Misallocation of Capital Across Firm Size in Developing Countries. Next, we have the John G. Sobieski Award for Creative Thinking in Economics. Mr. Sobieski graduated from the Economics Department in 1928. He wanted particularly to encourage creative thinking regarding important economic issues. And this year, the award goes to Amanda Wang, who was advised by Professor Ilya Strebelev for her thesis titled Organizational Structure and Decision-Making in Corporate Venture Capital. Stanford's Center for Teaching and Learning has created awards for thesis presentations to honor exceptionally effective presentations of complex ideas. And this year's Honors Thesis Award goes to Claire Dinshaw, advised by Professor Mark Duggan for her thesis presentation titled, Do Accessory Dwelling Units Live Up to the Hype? Our final award is the Firestone Medal for Excellence in Undergraduate Research. This is a university-wide award given for research achievements across all fields. The medal is awarded for originality, rigorous deployment of research method, value of research to the field, and quality of argument and presentation. The Firestone Medal recognizes the top 10% of all honors theses in the social sciences, and engineering. And it's my pleasure to acknowledge the economics honors student who earned this medal, Arjun Ramani, advised by Professor Nick Bloom and Pete Klenow for his thesis titled The Donut Effect, How Work from Home Impacts Migration Patterns and Real Estate Markets. Congratulations to all of these award winners, as well as the rest of the class of 2021. It is humbling for us, your teachers and mentors, to send such a remarkable group into the world. My colleagues and I celebrate you, we congratulate you, and we wish you the greatest success and happiness. So until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and come back and visit us when you can. And finally, it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague and our commencement speaker for today, Professor Paul Milgrom. Paul Milgrom is the Shirley and Leonard Ely Professor of Humanities and Sciences in the Department of Economics. In 2020, he was the co-recipient with Stanford's Robert Wilson of the Nobel Prize in Economics for improvements to auction theory and inventions of new auction formats. Earlier the same year, he was also named a Distinguished Fellow of the American Economics Association. He's also a member of the National Academy of Sciences and the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and he's received many other major awards. I give you Paul Milgrom.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Milgrom, and I'm here today to celebrate you, the graduates, for receiving your bachelor's and master's and doctoral degrees in economics as part of the class of 2021. Congratulations to all of you on your achievements today. Each of these degrees is an exciting milestone that's achieved through hard work and dedication, much more so this year in which you had to learn remotely without the energy and dynamism that comes from working in person with your peers in a classroom, a library, an outdoor grove, or your own residence. An extra kudos to all of you for graduating during such a difficult time. As a commencement speaker, I'm supposed to tell you how to be successful, how to be a good leader, how to be a well-rounded human being. Well, these are complicated questions, and the answers are different for everyone. There is no one-size-fits-all formula for success. My own 2020 Nobel Prize is one indicator of my career success and intellectual leadership, and I found a lot of happiness in my personal life, too. I don't attribute my own successes to any single factor. Luck and happenstance played a huge role for me, and so did the unwavering support I received from so many people. For me, as for most of you, the support begins with the parents and the family who raised us and sent us to college. If your parents are there listening in the audience, now would be a good time to applaud them. Hooray to the parents. Our supports also include our teachers and others who gave us a chance to show what we can do. Some people never get that chance, but all of you have. Don't waste it. Be aware that your own decisions can also play a decisive role. Today I will mostly reflect on how my own decisions contributed to the life that I live in making me who I have become. If I can offer you any insights into how to be successful in life, the first one would be this. Be unafraid and decisive, ready to seize opportunities when they arise. In my own life, I have often embraced quite unexpected opportunities for change and growth that seem to fit me, who I am, or what I want to be. Yes, I have been fortunate to have had a lot of good opportunities, but you guys have been given opportunities now too, and this will not be the last one. Most of us stumble across chances for change and growth from time to time. Too often we back off, we feel stuck and fail to grasp what could be great opportunities. Be vigilant and ready to seize the opportunities that you encounter. Today I'll tell you two of my personal stories about seizing opportunities. If I had more time, I could tell you more of these, but also stories about gambles that failed and about big opportunities that I missed. The main lessons I really want to convey are that big opportunities for change and growth are neither so common that you can afford to ignore the good ones, nor are they so rare that you should give up hope when you've missed out on some. And failures don't need to be devastating, they're just part of the process of trying. My first surprise story is about how I became a professor. which was not at all a path that anyone expected for me in view of my family history. The most educated person in my family before me was my mother, who was a high school graduate. I was the first male in my family to graduate high school, and I went on to get an undergraduate degree in mathematics and then went to work. Apart from mathematics, I didn't earn especially good grades or any honors. I was hired by an insurance company to be an actuary, doing insurance and pension calculations of all things. It was boring as hell. To make it more interesting, I wrote 2 papers about ways to improve and gain insight into the calculations that we were doing. Both of my papers won awards from the Actuarial Society, but I was still bored. So I came to Stanford and I enrolled in the MBA program, planning to pursue a broader business career. My technical MBA classes were boring too. They were targeted at too low a level for a math student like me. So I began thinking about new ways to do or understand the computations. When I explained to one professor that the rate of convergence of a certain calculation depended on the subdominant eigenvalue of a Markov matrix, he told me, "You're enrolled in the wrong program." Stanford offered me a scholarship to switch from an MBA program into their research-oriented doctoral program. How strange. I'd never applied to any doctoral program or thought about being a researcher or taken the requisite exams. And if I switched, I'd earn a lot less money. Would I even be any good about this? Well, I thought, at least I wouldn't be bored. I might even have fun studying the challenging issues that I picked for myself. So 2 days later, I switched programs. Turned out that research really was fun for me, so I continued and became a professor. This has all the elements. It has luck. I had no idea what I would discover as a student at Stanford. It had the essential nudge and encouragement from another person, my teacher, to whom I offer and owe my undying gratitude. And then my own decisive choice to make a major change in my life path after just 2 days of reflection. My second story is more intimate. It's about how I met and wooed my wife Eva. As with my first story, luck, another person, and my own decisiveness all combined to make quite a big and wonderful change in my life. Neither Eva nor I were supposed to attend the event where we met, which was the 1996 Nobel Prize dinner, when that year's economics laureate, William Vickrey, died suddenly. I was asked to come to Stockholm to deliver the Nobel lecture on his behalf. Eva wasn't supposed to be there either. Her ex-husband, the chairman of the Economics Nobel Prize Committee, had fought with his girlfriend and needed someone to accompany him to the dinner. So he invited his ex. How's that for a break? Well, we had a lovely time at dinner. But I lived in California and she lived in Stockholm. Surely nothing could come of that. Still, when I got home, I had Eva on my mind. Could anything be done? I worried that if I reached out, Eva's friends would counsel her that nothing could come of such a relationship. So I wrote her a message and I told her how much fun I'd had with her that evening. And I said, "Since you live in Sweden and I live in California, I'll send you a plane ticket and meet you anywhere in the world." Pretty decisive, huh? We were married in California in 2000. So my message to you is that for most of you, life will continue to present important growth opportunities that will require you to be bold and decisive. With help and encouragement from other people and one another, you can seize those opportunities to make your lives happier and more successful and to fit better with your true selves or how you see yourselves. At least a few among you have already seized an opportunity that will define the next years of your life. Most of you are going to have more chances to make big changes and grow into happier, more productive people. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of changes that move you forward and fit well with who you are. Life can be a wonderful adventure. Congratulations to all of you, graduates. Bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Frank Willick, and I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies for the Economics Department. Normally, I would announce the names of graduates as they receive their diploma from the chair of the department. So I'm extremely disappointed to be unable to shake your hand and congratulate you in person for your outstanding accomplishments. Making it through this year under COVID-19 was extremely challenging for us faculty, but we typically only taught 1 or 2 classes online. I cannot begin to imagine how difficult it was for you having to take all of your classes online. Nevertheless, we hope that you will put what you've learned as an economics major to good use in your future career. We also hope that you will come back to visit us in person. One of my greatest pleasures being a faculty member at Stanford is reconnecting with former students and hearing what they have done since graduating. I'm quite confident many of my colleagues feel the same way, so I hope we'll see you back on campus in the near future. Without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce the following candidates for a Bachelor of Arts in Economics.